Hey y'all, welcome to the Lone Sound Magazine podcast, music, culture, Texas. Find us online at lonesoundmagazine.com. And here's your host, editor Jamie Siegel.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Lone Sound podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Siegel, a Dallas-based journalist and editor of Lone Sound. In every episode of the podcast, we have conversations with creatives who are moving culture forward in Texas and beyond. We are always inspired by their stories, and we hope y'all will be too. In this episode of the Lone Sound podcast, I'm speaking with Dawn Okoro. Dawn is a visual and multimedia artist based in Austin, but she recently celebrated the debut of a solo exhibition in the UK. It's at Maddox Gallery in London, and it's showing through March 24th. I was really excited to talk to Dawn, not just because I love her style, but because her background is in journalism, and she was working as a journalist for 10 years or so before she decided to make the leap into art full-time. She tells me about that journey thus far, from learning when to say yes, when to say no, figuring out her bandwidth, finding balance, and setting boundaries. We also talk about her love for fashion and how that's been incorporated into her work, as well as her goals for the future and some of her hobbies. I really enjoyed speaking with Dawn, and I hope to be able to see her in person in Austin very, very soon. But until then, thank you so much, Dawn, and thank y'all for listening. Without further ado, here is the episode. Are we in your studio right now where you're Zooming from?
Yeah, the background's of a big window over there, and the background's a little bit blown out. But yeah, this is my art studio here in Austin, Texas.
Very cool. So you made it through the storm okay?
Yeah, thank goodness. And
Yeah.
I bought some extra water, and the storm wasn't bad enough where I needed, but then the city of Austin is having water issues unrelated, so I still needed the extra water anyway. So.
Good, right? So you're like, it actually helps to doomsday prep with just a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
You've actually now kind of in the last year, let's say, made the leap. You've kind of been doing a lot more painting and art, and you've kind of made the leap into making art your full-time job. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's just, I'm still kind of trying to get the hang of that.
Yeah. So what were you doing before?
Before I was a journalist. For many years, I was a TV news producer here in Austin, and then I switched over to web. So I was dealing with more writing for stories that would be on the web and social media and working with our station's website and things like that.
Right. That's like quick stuff. Just, yeah. Cool. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, gotta love a journalism, journalist people. So always big fans of journalist people. So, and then, you eventually made the leap. Was that just something that you really had thought about for a while, or, something that you would always kind of imagine doing eventually? Like, what if I could be a full-time artist? Or you were like, nope, this is it. I'm just taking this leap of faith.
Yeah. Being a full-time artist is something that I've always wanted. From early on, from childhood and teen years and early 20s, I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it. But it's something I've always wanted to do. But I just started, with my journalism job, I just started, working on my art at night or whenever I wasn't at work. And, eventually I just started getting busier with my art, but I had a lot of work to do, but it wasn't enough to like financially, I still needed my day job as my bread and butter.
Right.
So, but I just stayed busy to the point where, when people would ask that a lot, are you a full-time artist? Are you a full-time artist? And I started saying, I am a full-time artist, and I also have a full-time job.
Yeah.
So I'm just
juggling
both.
Yeah, right. I know that's how did the pandemic affect, your productivity and workflow, and I guess your inspiration? Because I feel like it kind of went both ways,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been interesting. A lot has changed for me since the pandemic started, I guess. Like when it initially started, it was like, okay, well, I'm totally shy, and I was like, okay, cool. I don't have to go to any events anymore.
Right.
You
Those
know?
get so tiring for sure. Yes.
And then when the pandemic initially started, like I just really wasn't in the mood to really create much. So I was one of those people that I was just baking and then
Yeah.
eating what I baked pretty much.
Right. Yeah,
And
exactly. You're like, this isn't so bad, I guess.
mhm.
Yeah.
It was like, well, I'm cooking, and baking is comforting to me. I used to do it
Yeah.
with my mother growing up, and
Hmm.
so that's what I was doing but for like at the start of the pandemic. And then Robert Pruitt, who is also an artist, he's from Houston. He was curating a show at the gallery that he's with up in Seattle, Copland
Hmm.
Del Rio.
Hmm.
And he asked me if I would like to be a part of the show. So I was like, sure. And so they wanted drawings. So like, I can do that.
Hmm.
I can do a little bit. I'll just do a few drawings. It's not a lot of pressure or a lot of, very low
Yeah.
impact for me. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
cool. I did that. And then, so that was good. And then another thing that happened was, I think it was like, in May of 2020, that's when George Floyd was murdered. And
Mhm.
so there was like a renewed call for, racial equity across the country. And
Right.
so when that happened, I guess there was like the month where it was like support Black artists. And
You got month.
so,
Oh
yeah, so
yeah.
so I was really busy during like that's I guess that month and a half or so, like all
Yeah.
these requests, and said like selling tons and tons of prints, and just so busy during the pandemic. And then after that, just little different things would come up here and there. But it just eventually just kind of started to snowball, where I just had all this
Mhm.
stuff to do. And then the company LifeWater reached out to me to have my
Yeah.
art on their bottle,
Bottle.
and just
Crazy.
a lot
Yeah.
of different things happening, to the point where I was just so busy that this past summer was when I was like, okay, I think I just want to be able to focus on my art. But of course, the financial issue is an issue.
Yeah. Right.
But I was seeing like I was seeing with all the different projects I have, that it's like, okay, well, maybe I could at least make the same as what I was making
Right.
at my journalism job.
Yes, exactly. Right. If it's like,
Um,
if you can break even, then I feel like you're,
exactly.
McLean, you're like, that's a win for sure. Yeah. And
And
have
so
that.
that's what led up to my decision to just go ahead and take the leap.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations. That's super cool. And, so exciting to be able to create. So how is, to create just, full time, and, you have a show coming up in London. Is this like, so is this your first, I guess, international exhibition, or have you done international stuff before?
Yeah, I've shown internationally before, but it was always my work was with several
Like
other
group
artists as like part of
exhibition?
a group show. Yeah,
Okay.
but this is my first solo
Solo.
show out of the country.
Wow, that's huge. Yeah, and Maddox Gallery is, an amazing gallery, extremely, reputable. So they have, I mean, yeah, that's huge. So tell me about this collection of paintings that you have created for the exhibition.
Yeah, so the the paintings I made are definitely come out of what is going on in my life, especially at the time that I came up with the paintings. Because as I was saying, I was just leaving my day job. I had recently signed with Maddox Gallery, and then
Mhm.
I also was working with the gallery in Seattle that I mentioned earlier. They
Okay.
wanted to represent me too, so
Wow.
I had that going on. Like, I had a solo show there for the Seattle gallery, and then
Wow.
Maddox Gallery was like, okay, so well, with that gallery, I mean, it was known that I would eventually do a solo show with them, but I thought it
Mhm.
was going to be in LA because they have a gallery there. So it's like, initially that made sense, like, well, you're in the States. But then I shipped some of my current paintings there, but people from London were the ones buying it, so they're like, oh,
Ah,
let's show you
there's,
here.
yeah.
um, and I paint people, so I thought, okay, well, this would be a good chance to do, some new portraits.
Wow. Oh, cool. Okay. So, what's, and I noticed, sometimes you experiment with some of like the mediums, like, painting with Kool-Aid and,
Mm-hmm.
some things like that. What are some of the other things that you've been experimenting with, and, some of these women or people and these, images, what do they represent? If they're not, individuals exactly,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is also this probably something that I guess just came out of how I was feeling during the pandemic. But it was like, I started off baking. That's really comforting, and I was thinking
Mhm,
of how can I incorporate those comforting feelings into what I do as an artist. And I was thinking,
mhm.
well, as a kid growing up, my mom always served Kool-Aid, with our meals, and so
Yeah.
I thought, well, let me experiment with it as paint. And
Yeah.
so I did, and that was fun. And I also love
Yeah.
to experiment with like wearable art, like this like
Yes.
something. This is an experiment that I have on
Okay,
right
cool. I was
now.
like, is this? I was like, yeah. I was like, I need to. Did you make those, or how did you?
Yes,
Okay. I was
yeah.
thinking. Okay.
It's a headpiece made out of copper, and then there are some stones on
Mhm.
it, and these are asthma inhalers that I covered with copper leaf.
Okay,
And
they
so
look so familiar. I was like, what are?
yeah.
I was like, I know what those are, but I can't
Hmm.
quite. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, because you did,
Yeah.
and for all the other listeners, you have done, a lot of that gold leaf, and which is always, you always do it in such a cool, tasteful, unique way, without ever making it look, overdone, or any, it's always like looking at it fresh each time you do that. So I just, I love looking at your stuff. You've done some collaborations with in public art installations with Austin artists like Mobley, and you've seemed to support the Austin music scene. What's your relationship with music, and as it relates to your art, and how is the Austin music scene integrated into all that?
Yeah, just like a lot of people, I enjoy listening to music. I enjoy listening to music while I create, while I'm thinking of ideas or just relaxing. And I first started getting involved with incorporating musicians into my art a few years ago when I did a solo show here in Austin at the Carver Museum called Punk Noir, and
Yes.
I wanted to capture capture the energy of that moment, I guess, that I was feeling in Austin. And so I created pieces of basically people that I knew, which happened to also be artists. So it was
And
visual
you had
artists, it
lots of
was musicians.
headpieces in that exhibition as well, right? A lot of that you did, or
Well,
those,
and
or
that
the
there were
windows.
headpieces.
Okay.
The headpieces were to adorn the mannequins. They
Oh,
had
the
on
mannequins. Hmm.
some jackets that I had made. So I
Hmm.
was just trying to play with the idea of like punk and writing things on clothing that might represent
Yeah.
you or what you're about and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. Sorry, and I interrupted you going back to the musicians. Sorry.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, so I painted several people who are also musicians, and I wanted the paintings to be like monumental, life size. And it was
mhm,
my first time working in that scale, and they were like the paintings were 6 feet tall.
mhm.
And they
Oh,
were
wow.
put in the Carver Museum, and I wanted people to walk in and just feel like wow, like
Wow.
overwhelmed with the
Right.
emotion. And
That's a lot of
um,
paint, huh? I
yeah,
guess.
a lot of paint, and then
Yeah.
building the canvases was an interesting experience too. Just
Yeah.
yeah, a lot going on.
How big are the paintings at the Maddox Gallery exhibition? Are they also that big?
I would have loved to do huge paintings like that. Right now, shipping is like crazy
Yeah. I was
expensive
like a shipping
overseas.
container or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and also given the time frame, it was just more practical for me to do something a bit smaller. So these are like a quarter of the size of the Punk Noir pieces. So they're like 3 foot by 3 foot.
Oh yeah, that's really neat. The square size.
Hmm.
Okay. Awesome. And so you just have the LifeWater collaboration happen. There's another one that just came out, or is that the same?
No, it was just the one, but PepsiCo is working with this show called America by Design, and so and the show is about different like design innovations,
Oh,
and
cool.
they're doing a segment about LifeWater and different things that they've done, because LifeWater reaches out to artists to do their labels,
Mhm.
and so so for the show they interview me just to talk about the piece that I have on the water bottle and how it came about and all that.
Ah.
And that'll be coming out like I guess like in a week or so.
How is it? Oh, that's super exciting. I can't wait to see it. So yeah, we'll look forward to seeing that on, the videos and all that.
Yeah, and they'll after it airs, they post it on YouTube, so I'll be sure to send out the
What is
link.
that? Yes,
everywhere.
exactly. How have you, so have you noticed since, going full time, and I think it probably does take just like an adjustment, but overall, but I guess like setting boundaries with yourself and setting deadlines, being a former journalist, like the,
Mhm.
deadline oriented nature of the business. And but being able to also be creative. How have you figured out that balance yet, or learning, when to maybe not take on too much, or when to say yes, when to say no? How's that all that going?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is what I'm dealing with now, and that's one of the main adjustments that I'm dealing with, because I mean I told you earlier that I said, oh, I'm a full-time artist and a full-time journalist, but I
Mm-hmm.
thought that once I let go of that journalism part, it's like, oh wow, I have all this time now, it's
Time
gonna
to
be
take care
great.
of myself and do my laundry, and
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what happened was, I guess, well, over the past year, like I've basically just been like just fielding different offers that just come to me, and I've said yes to a lot of things, and it's
Mhm.
cool things to do, but I said yes to a lot of things. So now like I went full time as an artist, but I have like all these projects stacked up. So and I don't know how I would have gotten it all done while I still
Yeah.
had my day job,
Right.
but yeah, I've
Yeah.
definitely had so much stuff to do where it's like the focus was just on getting these things done, like, and so I would just been buried in
Right.
just getting these things
Just
done.
yeah.
So a lot of it's been finished now, and so I still have stuff to do, but it's like I have more time to figure out. Okay, now that I'm doing focusing on art, like what I never thought about, like what do I want my year to look like? Because I can only make so many paintings a month or a year, so it's
Right.
like what do I really want to do? And yeah, I have to be more discerning about what I take on,
Mhm.
because I just have such a limited amount of time, really, as far as like when it comes to creating art.
Right. In order to,
So
I
yeah, I'm
guess,
still working
until
with that.
yeah, I was like, you're not like a factory, right? So it's like, you don't want to take
Exactly.
the magic out
Yeah.
of the painting too, or,
Exactly. Like there are some times where it's like, wow, yeah, I do want to paint. I love to paint. I want to create, and I want my art out in the world. But at the same time, I do. I want to. I want to be. Yeah, I don't want to be like a painting factory, and that's something that's hard to
Mhm.
explain to people, because when I say, oh, I'm doing okay, but I mean, I'm not completely happy, but people don't understand, because they're like, but I thought you quit your day job though. That's great. That's what
This
artists
is
want. Like, why aren't you fully happy? And
mhm.
so that's part of it.
Right, where you're like, well, I'm not trying to just like sell out right away and not feel good about it.
Right,
No.
right, right.
But so what has been helping, I guess, with like, with TV watching? I see your cat has been coming through in the back. So
Oh yeah.
so I'm like,
Mhm.
that's always good to have a
Yeah.
furry a fur baby around for sure.
Yeah, furry friend.
Yes. So, yeah. So are there other things that are, ground you, like, yoga, or just, meditating, tea, whatever?
Yeah, I when the weather's nice, I like to go for walks because I can think. And then the other thing is this is also something that I started in the pandemic, but I started skateboarding.
Oh,
And
no way.
so that's something that's like I really enjoy. I suck at it, but I enjoy it
Yeah.
because it's like you with skateboarding, like you have to focus on what you're doing, because if you don't, like
Mhm.
you're gonna end up like
On your face.
horizontal,
Yeah.
yeah, on the ground. So
Yeah.
been,
Wow.
something I enjoy.
That's super cool. Wait, so do you have just like, so I longboard.
Okay.
So I have a nickel board actually, like a bigger penny
Hmm.
board. And then I have a Sector 9 bamboo longboard that I like, but the skateboarding I have not ventured. Well, I think maybe when I was younger, but I don't really do
Hmm.
tricks or anything. I just kind of like to go from like A to B. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I
have you
mean,
been doing tricks
same.
or okay, cool. I was like, have you been like trying out tricks at the park or like
Well, I'm not even at the point of trying out a trick, but my goal would be to I mean, it would be cool to skate as good as Lil Wayne.
right? Okay, just
Like,
as that's a good bar, right?
I mean, so I do want to do. I do want to learn a few tricks just for fun. Like, I want to be able to go to a skate park and use their little transitions and just have fun. But right
Yeah.
now, I'm just working on turning good.
Yes,
My goal would
exactly.
be to, if I can learn how to ollie by the end of the year, like, wow, that would be huge for me.
Okay, that's a really good goal. And I think that's like an achievable goal too, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, just
Yeah.
gotta get out there and just practice and do it.
Yeah, right. Well, now it's, here in Dallas, it finally got, it's nice. I think it's going to be like 75 on Saturday or something like
Nice,
that.
nice.
So are you going to be in London for the gallery opening? And are there any places in London that you enjoy frequenting or checking out? Art gallery, other galleries or record stores, museums?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go to London for the show, and I'll be there for a few days. And of course, I'm definitely gonna be checking out like the Tate Museum,
Hmm.
some other museums they have there. And I don't know where it's located, and so it depends. But I'm interested in seeing, I guess, the origins of some of the origins of, I guess, what we know as like punk culture, like Vivian Westwood has I guess a store there that was like one of the first stores that sold. It was called Sex. I mean, it used to be called Sex
Yes.
back in the 70s.
Yes,
And
it's in that neighborhood where like Amy Winehouse lived, I think in that punk
okay, yeah,
neighborhood, I
I
think.
had no idea where it
Um,
is, but I'm gonna look try to find that, and it would be cool to check it
yes,
out because I
I
think
was
there's
like,
still a store there.
yeah. Oh wow, Westwood's store is there still.
Yeah, that's my
Wow.
understanding. So
Wow.
that'd be cool
Okay.
to check out.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you ever be interested in doing fashion collaborations or your own fashion line? Are you a Project Runway person or what types of
I will say that
styling do you
I'm definitely not a Project Runway type person because that would be too much. I have too much anxiety to do
Yeah.
something like that. But
Yeah, same.
aside from that, I want to do all of that. Like, I want to do fashion collaborations, and I definitely want to have my own line of something. So I'm
Yeah.
still kind of trying to parse that all out.
Right. That's something that's really, cool I feel like, a good self-care is to just like daydream and brainstorm about all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff, though, to be like,
Yeah,
okay, this could definitely work with accessories and
yeah.
collaborations and, all of that kind of stuff. Who's been inspiring you lately from like music to like fashion to TV or, whatever?
Who's been inspiring me lately? That's a good question. Who's been inspiring me lately? Trying to I'm trying to think. I don't know off the top of my head. I have to get back with
Okay,
you on that
yeah.
one.
Think about it. Yeah. What type of here's one. What type of stuff do you usually listen to in your studio? Do you throw on like your tracks and just shuffle or do you set the mood to, kind of get in the right creative headspace?
Yeah, I definitely want to set the mood. It just depends on, yeah, just how I'm feeling or what I'm working on. And for me, like, my music tastes are just like all across the board. Like, I'll listen to hip hop, or like, especially like a lot of 90s music, 90s hip hop and
Mhm.
R&B. And then of course I enjoy listening to rock or like punk. A lot of the punk I listen to is people that are Austin based. So I enjoy
Yeah,
listening to their music, and yeah, just whatever I'm feeling at the time.
cool. What punk bands from Austin should I start listening to?
Yeah, I would recommend Pleasure Venom.
Pleasure Venom.
And
I
it's
have heard of them.
it's a woman-fronted band.
Cool.
And I'm actually working on their album cover.
Oh, wow.
So that'll be cool when it comes out. And
Yeah.
another one I recommend is Blaxploitation.
Blaxploitation. Okay.
Yes, and it's spelled, and I may be saying this wrong, but it's spelled BLXPTN, something like that. But
With
it's
like without the vowels or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, those are a couple good ones to check out.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will definitely check those. I love a female fronted band also. So that's always great to see. What I guess has been the most rewarding thing that made this whole journey so far worth it, where you were like, oh my gosh, am I crazy for doing this? But maybe a little bit crazy, but you're like, okay, yeah, this is definitely I made the right choice.
Yeah, I've definitely been having moments where I was like, am I crazy for doing this? Because I mean, when I this past August, like when I initially left my job, working at the TV station, I guess leading up to it, it was like exciting, like, yay, I'm gonna do this. And then when it finally happened, I don't know what changed, but I just started feeling a lot of, I don't know, I started like something that I hadn't felt in a while, and I thought I had gotten better with it, but I just started feeling a lot of self-doubt, like,
yeah,
should I be doing this? What am I doing? Oh my God, what if I don't, I don't know, just lots of doubt. And it's really been kind of, just coming in and out. But I'm feeling better at this moment. I think what helps is just talking to fellow artists, it just kind of helps, I don't know, just bring you back into reality. Like, look, you're not crazy, this is okay, people are responding to it, so, but that's definitely something that I, deal with and just kind of have to, work on.
Right. Just like a normal thing. It's crazy how I can completely relate to that feeling of like that imposter syndrome or self-doubt, or like, am I actually like, are people like, are people catching on yet that I have like no idea what I'm doing?
Exactly. They're gonna find out I'm fake.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, they're gonna know, But how, I guess, is your relationship with like social media and using that as a way to sell, you have to have this presence online of like selling your artwork and things like that, but then also like not like, has that ever been like a problem for you of just being like overly, I guess, spending too much time on social media?
Yeah, like for me, social media has been a really has played a big part in really meeting people that are, I guess, that are related to the arts community, whether other artists or collectors or curators. And this goes back to even the way back when I first started my first attempt at being an artist, which is way back when people were using MySpace. Like
nice. I had my MySpace. Yes.
Yeah, and I met people there that I'm still friends with to this day. I met
wow,
a mentor there.
That's crazy. Wow.
And so I guess, I mean, it's posting and dealing with social media has come kind of flowed pretty naturally, as far as like posting my process and this, but yeah, it does. I do end up. Well, I'm better about it now, but there have been times where I was just like, find myself like, why am I still like scrolling? Like, what am I even doing? Even
That's what happened.
People's stuff.
That's what happened to me the first time I got on TikTok. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a huge time suck, extremely dangerous. Yeah. This is extremely dangeress. Like, nope, I can't do it. I'm like, I can't have this.
Yeah, it's helped to just kind of put it down for a while. Cause I mean, I know like sometimes I just want to like just not use social media, just take a way long time off. Right. Because if I have something going on, I need to, share and post about it. So just like I need to just have more healthy boundaries with that, so I try to, well, ideally I would just get on when I need to post my stuff. And of course, look at other people's stuff, but don't just spend a long time on that.
Right. I know. I'm like, they've gotten me so many times with like the shopping ads. I'm like, dang it. Like, I'm like, stop showing that to me. I don't want to see it
Right.
anymore.
It's like, how do you know I like that?
Yeah. Right. I'm like, I'm like, I don't have an Alexa, but it probably doesn't matter anyway.
Exactly.
Like, how would you describe your own style and aesthetic?
I would describe it as I mostly paint portraits. It's not realism, but somewhat realistic looking. I like to use bright, saturated colors on the background and on the people and their clothing. And when I paint people, there's usually like a deep shadow across their skin and body. And yeah, that's how I would describe it.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be right back.
Dallas Music Network is a nonprofit organization with a mission to help musical artists reach their full potential through film, performance, recording, and collaboration opportunities. Stream Dallas Music Network shows on demand on Two-Stage TV, available on Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, and Android TV. Dallas Music Network is made possible in part by a generous gift from Timothy R. Wallace. For more information on becoming a part of the Dallas Music Network sponsorship team, contact Beverly Perry. Email beverly@dallasmusicnetwork.com.
Are there any special pieces to you that that you would never sell that are just super sentimental to you as an artist?
I never made a piece where I was like, I'll never sell it, but right now, as I've been selling more of my work, it's been like, well, I do want to keep some of these pieces. So I mentioned that Punk Noir series I did in Austin, or for the Carver Museum in Austin. Like I still have some of those pieces, and I'm thinking about just holding on to some of them. Like one of my favorite one is of a musician named Kidada, and she's part of a group called Riders Against the Storm here in Austin.
Okay.
But
cool.
but her portrait, at least as of now, I've decided I'm going to keep it. So I've got it hung up in my living room.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. Right. I know sometimes you're like, I want that, like, never say never, I guess. But sometimes tempting, you're like, if you could do an album cover or a piece for any artist, alive or dead, who would you want to create for?
Wow, that's a good question. That's a very good question. You said dead is okay too.
Yeah, dead's okay.
It'd be cool I would say Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Right? Yeah, that would be really, really cool. Yeah, I would love to see what your mind would think up for that. That would be super cool, right? I mean, he definitely is. Yeah, I was like, and I'm sure there's some awesome Jimi Hendrix spots in London too. I'm not.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah. That is true.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sure where. I can recommend one cool place that I went to called Spirit Land, and it's for like people who love music, but it's a cocktail bar and just an awesome place to go see. They have like jazz or like jazz DJs that are always like really, really good. So
jotting that down right now. Spirit Land. Okay.
Spirit Land. Yeah, their tagline is "Come home to music." It's very cool.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's cool. Are there any other things that we haven't talked about yet, as far as like your art goes, or your personal style, or just being an artist, a full-time artist these days, and just figuring it out like the rest of us, and how you stay motivated? And
yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I think the figuring it out part, I mean, that's just definitely an ongoing thing. Like I'm definitely not a person that feels like I have it all figured out, and as I enter different phases, like my feelings are different, or it feels different than what I would expect. And like I mentioned earlier, that I was feeling just kind of down on myself for some reason, like earlier when I had first made the venture into being full time. But I feel much better at this point, and like talking to other artists has helped. And I'm just really at this point, I'm just really excited about the next stuff I'm going to make in the future. So I'm excited because I've been really wanting to try something new, even with the look of my painting. So I'm just really looking forward to that.
So have you kind of been experimenting with all of that already since you've wrapped the paintings for the Maddox gallery exhibition?
Or I've been experimenting with that at all.
Wow.
I have basically, there's been like life stuff going on,
of course, yes.
and then I've had a couple of other projects to finish up, even though it's not as much pressure as it was trying to finish those paintings for Maddox gallery, because that again, like it was 12 paintings, which is not too bad, but again, like life, there's a lot of life, non-art related life stuff going on, to where I wasn't even able to paint every day.
And then you're like emotionally exhausted and just
exactly. But I'm coming to the light at the end of the tunnel, so I'm just excited about making new work.
Yeah, that is, it's nice. It's also like when you have all this life experience, I guess fortunately, you can turn it into art, which is always kind of cool. So who are some of your favorite artists that you've always kind of loved, or who that you've seen in person, or that inspire you?
So I'm thinking all the way back to, I guess, like high school, and like and I took art, I took art classes, and they would introduce us to, I guess, some of the top known artists out there in the world. But one of the people that I first learned about in high school was Andy Warhol, and I was really drawn to his work, and also just to his persona as a person, because I read, I watched tons of documentaries about him and read read books about him, but I guess I felt drawn to him in the sense that, like, I always felt like just like I stuck out, just different, not fitting in, and so I kind of related to his work in that way. And even when I first started painting, or really taking it seriously, like I was inspired to do like the solid bright background, kind of like he did his screen prints.
Right.
Another artist would be Wangechi Butu. She's a Kenyan artist.
Okay.
And she does a lot of works in a lot of mediums, but she's known for doing collages, and her work, it features people, but it's very I don't know, earthy, and so it's very, very emotional, and so I love her work. And I got to meet her for a little bit when she came. Cool. She had a show here in Austin, and so
cool.
Like there's the part where you line up to take pictures. So
take
a picture with her. But yeah, those are a couple of our favorite artists.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's incredible. I know, right? Sometimes it is worth it. I got to, when Takashi Murakami came to the Modern in Fort Worth, I got to do a photo for my old job, because we put him on the cover of our magazine at the time, and I got to interview him like through his translator.
Oh, wow.
So through his translator for like 3 minutes, but so I was
cool.
like, I was like 3 minutes, but I'm like, I do have a picture to prove it. So I did get to,
that's
but
awesome.
So I did ask him what kind of music he liked to play in his studio. And he said he likes to play like dance music, like EDM.
Oh, I could totally see that.
Yeah. Right.
I like his work. I first learned about it, like, I guess maybe about 20 years ago, like when he started when he had that collab with Louis Vuitton, and that's when I learned about his work, and I was like, wow. So I'm interested in the ways that he's collaborated with designers and things like that too.
Oh yeah, right. I know, exactly. I know there's so much cool stuff to come, I'm sure. So have you been in talks with any fashion designers yet?
No talks with any fashion designers, but what I'm working on at this point is like just ideas of what I want to do, and also what can I do, or what's what makes sense and is also practical. So I definitely I'm going to be making something fashion related, but I don't know what yet.
Yes, yes.
but it'll be, I'm putting that out there in the universe. So.
Yes, absolutely. And getting the creative time to think about it. And, you know, do you sew? Can you sew and stuff like that? So you can kind of make some prototypes together?
Okay, that's a good question. If you were to ask, can I sew? Well, I mean, when I was at UT, I went to UT here in Austin, and back then, I knew I wanted to work in like a creative field, but I felt pressure that like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. So I was like, I'll do something else. Like, I'll be pre-med or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But in between that, I took lots of fashion design classes, and those classes involved like pattern making and sewing. So I did learn how to sew through that.
Yeah.
I think but sewing is it's definitely a skill. I think I made the most perfect thing I ever made was a silk skirt. So I know how to sew, but it would be ideal if someone else sewed it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not really good at it, but I can sew. And so I was even thinking about maybe putting a sewing machine in here just so I can at least play with some ideas.
Right, exactly. Fabrics, right, at least to get the idea out there, and then somebody can be like, okay, I've got you. I mean, it really is to find a good tailoring and I mean, it's definitely an art form too.
It is.
And fit and all that stuff. So
especially if you want it to be like good quality too.
Yeah, like structured, or you want it to lay right. I mean, I have so much respect. I'm like, I say what you want, but it's like I do love fashion. Like I do love love to look to see what people are doing, what all the fashion houses are doing. It's, it's always, it's always inspiring, and it's always to see how it all relates back to music and interior design and all of that stuff too. You're like, what? It's all, it's always so neat. So, well, thank you so much for your time. If there's anything, is there anything else you'd like to say to our listeners? Any other shout outs? Or anything you like to give?
I would say if there's something you want to do and you've been hesitant about doing it, and if it's positive, I say just go for it.
Yeah. Yes, Dawn, thank you so much, and we'll look out for the video about the water bottle collaboration, and then also looking forward to seeing all the stuff, all the content from the Maddox Gallery exhibition, February 24th through March 24th.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Great. Well, have a great rest of your day and enjoy the sun.
All right. Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you. Hope to see you in real life sometime soon.
Yeah, someday.
Yes. Bye.
And that's a wrap for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate y'all's support. Please follow us on all the social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, YouTube. Our handle is @LoneSoundMag, and you can visit our website at lonesoundmagazine.com. Thanks again, and see you guys next time. Bye.